Okay, so if we listen to this, we can hear we have a good deal of noise that we want to get rid of. There's a fan in the scene back there, so that helps answer some of the questions as to what this noise is. So we don't necessarily need to remove it entirely, but we could certainly minimize it. So the way we're going to go about doing this is we're going to use FabFilter Pro Q. As for doing notch filtering, you should definitely use the Pro Q. So I'm going to show you another little tip for creating safety tracks. One way you can do it is if, let's say we're going to render this track, I can copy this down to another track and mute. That's one way to do it. That way, if I have to go back and redo this, I have some place. However, another way you can do it is create a new playlist. The way we do that is for this track, I'm going to go to this little drop down, the playlist selector, and choose duplicate. I'm going to call it RT1 safety. So now I have this playlist that's a safety playlist. I can also switch it back to RT1, which is exactly the same right now, but as we start processing these tracks, if we need to go back and retrieve any of the original clips, we can go back to the safety and it'll be there. Here's a quick example. Let's say I were to trim this little bit out of here. That's on RT. Change it to RT1 safety, and there it is in its entirety. So I'm going to copy that and go back to RT1. I'm going to paste, and I'm back to the way I was. Okay, so let's get to filtering. So this particular fan noise, it's fan noise, maybe some air conditioning, has some frequencies we can get rid of just to minimize the majority of the annoying nature of it. So I'm going to select a little section of the clip, click preview, start working on finding those frequencies. There's one. So that alone made a bit of a difference. If I bypass this, we can hill. So now let's double this frequency, because usually the next frequency that could be creating an issue would be 2 times the frequency that we already have. So this is about 200 hertz. We're going to go to 400 hertz. Let me bring up the Q, bring up the gain. Go. I'll bypass again. And go double that again to about 800. Let me go below and try around 100 hertz and see what I find. There's something there. So I'm going to reduce. Now we're not hearing the effect of the bass roll-off that we have on this track, so we'll actually be hearing some things down below 100 hertz, although when we play the track we won't hear it. Okay, so we'll bypass this. Not bad. Maybe I'll go to one more frequency. So about 1600. So we pretty much have all the harmonic notes out of this noise. Now we're just left with a whooshy white noise hiss, which we can deal with later, but we're going to go with this for now. I'm going to save this. I'm going to go to Preset. Remember to save your settings preferences, save plugin settings to session folder. Save settings as And I'm just going to call this scene 1, I know. Scene 1, I'm going to call it room tone, although we're going to apply it to the dialogue too. We're starting out in room tone. Okay, so I have the safety of this track, right? So I'm all good with that. So I can just render. One other thing I want to do before I render is I want to change this to create individual files and clip by clip. That allows us to attach some handles to the clip. So I'm going to put 6 here, just so we know that when we render this, it's going to give us 6 seconds on either side in case we want to stretch it out a little bit longer than it is. Click render. And there we have it. So if we listen to the safety, we'll go back to that. Sounds like that. I'll go back to this. So this clip down here is going to have the same problem. Okay, again, before I render, I want to create a safety. We'll go to duplicate, production effects 1, safety, switch back to production effects 1, and again, it'll stay on this, but you always want to make sure you're creating individual files and clip by clip so you can actually create handles on this clip. Click render. Let's see what we have.
Morning.
So you'll notice as soon as her clip comes in here, you hear the fan noise kicking in. So we're going to have to go to each of these dialogue clips of hers and apply this filter to it as well. So again, I'm going to safety this, duplicate it, safety, and let's hear what it sounds like.
Morning.
Oh, and I just did it to the safety, so be careful. I'm going to undo that. And I'm going to go back to the main dialogue and do it to the main, not the safety track. You also got to be careful about that when you create safety tracks.
Morning.
Alright, and then we have the tone up here. We're going to again, now we have a safety track for room tone 1, so we don't have to create the safety track. We could just go and render this. So let's see here what we have.
Morning.
Okay, so you notice, here we go again. Here goes those tones from the fan. Now we do need to create a safety for room tone 2. Render. Okay, let's see what we have. So I'm just going to run through all of the clips that need it, applying this filter, and then we'll go back and we'll see what we can do about the white noise whooshiness that each